Hello and welcome to Conscious Club. I'm your host, Dash Singh, and today we are diving into a fascinating topic, conscious investing. But before we get started, I want to take a moment to acknowledge you. If you're here, it's no accident. You tuned into the frequency that draws content like this into your life. That already tells me you're someone who is intentional about growth and awareness. So, congratulations and kudos to you. And if you feel inspired by what we shared today, please be that person who passes the torch. Share this with your family and friends. And you never know, you might be the one to spark the beginning of their consciousness journey. And of course, don't forget to like and hit the subscribe button so you never miss out on what's coming up next. Now let's get into today's conversation. I'm truly excited to welcome Prasheen Singh. Prasheen is a director and investment consultant with Riskura, one of South Africa's leading investment companies with over 25 years of experience. She has advised on more than 200 billion rand worth of assets. Yes, you heard that right, 200 billion rand. But what really intrigued us here at Conscious Club is her passion for what she calls conscious investing. She's very intentional about the pun on coins, and we couldn't resist exploring this with her today. Prasheen, welcome, and thank you so much for making the flight to join us. Let's dive straight in. Can you share with us, in your own words, what's conscious investing really mean?
Thank you, Dash. I am honored and excited to be here with Conscious Club today, and I'm so looking forward to share this. Conscious investing is something I'm truly passionate about, as you said, and what it actually means for me is it is the amalgamation of what's in my heart and what's in my mind. And so my heart represents my spirit or my soul and who I really am at my core. And my mind represents the skill sets I've developed and the learnings I've done and the qualifications I've come up with. And so I love the blend that it brings in this one phrase, conscious investing.
Oh, wow. That sounds super interesting. Prasheen, I want to bring us back to your profession and what you were trained for, which is investing. And for us, the layperson out there, and for somebody just starting out, what's the essential principles we should know?
That's a great question, Dash. I think the one that stands out for me is certainly that investments first is about time in the market or in the investment rather than trying to timing the market in terms of that. And so for me, it is very important that the ability for investments to compound are allowed to play themselves out. And that's where the time in the investment plays out rather than trying to decide, do I go in and out and in and out? And just start. That is the key to this game. Sitting on the sidelines is not going to help us. Start with whatever little small amount you have available, and there are many opportunities, even for an amount you think is too small, but is just the way to begin.
Wow, that sounds, the time in the market, so a la Warren Buffett. You guys are in sync, obviously.
I may have stolen it from him.
Fantastic. He may have stolen some investment advice from you, but anyway. So it's a confusing space for us lay people, and I've heard something called asset classes. What's a simple breakdown of what are they and why are they important to us?
So very simply, asset classes are just groupings or a mechanism of investing.
Okay.
So cash, you've heard that phrase.
Yeah.
Cash is typically a mechanism of investing via a bank, utilizing a bank account, which either has no set term or some set term by which it will earn its investment, i.e. interest in a bank account. So that's pretty much it. That's the cash asset class. You may have heard of something called equities.
Yes.
What is equities? Well, equities are just ownership in a company. A businessman that owns the business that he works in is a shareholder or owns shares in that business.
Okay.
And that business is a private business. It's his family business. Whereas you can also own shares in a company that's listed on a stock exchange, which might be called a public company, which means many people are available or able to purchase a share into that company at a price that is listed and traded on that stock exchange.
Okay.
And then maybe the last one, because you can have these asset classes in a variety of jurisdictions. And maybe another one is bonds. Now, typically in our personal environment, we may hear of a mortgage bond, which means it is money that the bank lent to us to buy a house potentially, of which we need to repay the bank via interest payments as well as a portion of capital. Now, the other type is you could be the lender to a variety of institutions. And that would be where the institution that you lend to pays you back interest and a portion of the capital over a period of time. And that can have different set periods, which you can choose.
Wow. A little bit complex for an amateur like me, but I think you're breaking them down interestingly. So I'm going to come back very quickly to this conscious investing. I'm loving the term, firstly. Absolutely rocks. So the great Louise Hay once said that for many people, speaking about sex is easier than talking about money and finances. Do you agree?
That resonates with me, Dash. And through this passion of conscious investing with me, part of the passion is the recognition that there's a complete relationship between your consciousness and your awareness and the identity that you have towards money. Let's call it the money identity that you have. If I can share a story quickly, we may have heard the phrase, money doesn't grow on trees.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Or money is the root of all evil. These are phrases which create a money identity.
Okay.
Do you attach the root of all evil being money, i.e. money is bad, and my association with money means I'm pursuing something bad or evil?
Wow.
And you create that identity, which means you may be challenged to attract money into your life because you perceive it as evil. I heard this beautiful podcast, if I may share the example.
Sure.
If you can think of money sitting across the table, the dinner table from you on a date, on a first date, and your first sentence out of your mouth is, you are the root of all evil.
Ooh.
Or you are not enough in my life.
Oh my.
You grow on trees. Do you think that date is going very much further than that moment?
Interesting first date. I'm not getting a second date, that's for sure.
Certainly it wouldn't seem so. And so that identity that you've created is what you're putting out there and what gets reflected back to you.
Wow.
So how do we become aware of what our associations are? And they're created not because we deliberately chose them. They're created from what's around us in our environment, what we've heard people say, what our experiences have been, what involvement in society we've had, and what it's been around. And so, a great thing is to just become aware of it. Okay. What am I choosing to say to money across the table? Am I sitting down at that dinner table, date table, and saying, I love you?
That's a complete switch. Interesting, because
more likely for a second date. Right?
Absolutely. I think I would eventually get a second date there. But I mean, it's so interesting that as you were saying this, the penny dropped with me that, wow, this is probably more people in category A than in category B. There are more people that have got a bad relationship with money or a bad consciousness towards money than have a good one. And hence, that would be the explanation why so many people on the planet suffer financially.
Sure.
Wow.
It's
Interesting.
it's a deep concept, Dash, and I know we certainly don't have the time here today to delve into it. But it's fascinating on the relationship between where do I feel, the word associated with money often is abundance. Where do I feel abundant? Is it in the pursuit of something like money? Or do I feel it in my spirit, in my consciousness? And this is where the link comes in that I so absolutely am completely fascinated by and completely stimulated by, on how they all, I think it was a quote from Buddha that said, as you change your thoughts, or your thoughts derive your destiny.
Oh, wow.
This is where it all plays together.
So the Dr. Wayne, I think it was a Dr. Wayne Dyer phrase about when you change the way you think about something, the something changes, or something along those lines. I've completely messed up the phrase, but you get the point. I mean, so I'm gonna come back, right? I'm gonna rewind us, because a hell of a lot at Consciousness Club is about the practicality of things and what can we as a layperson do and how can we learn and grow via this channel. So how do we begin our conscious investing journey?
Sure. Cool. Let me say this first. I love the phrase also because not only does it focus on the investing, which we must do consciously, i.e. choosing where we invest, but also on how do we invest into our consciousness. And so I almost want to say that's the start. That's where you start the awareness of what is my money identity? What have been the phrases that I associate with money? How grateful am I for what I have?
What a brilliant starting place.
And so if you ask for a practical tip, can I start with gratitude to what I have versus I will be grateful when I have X?
Yeah. As per the old phrase in the universe, when we're grateful for what we have, the universe gives us more to be grateful for.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. What an interesting starting point, people. And it's so easy to start being a conscious investor by just changing the easiest thing we can change, and that's our mindset.
May I add one more thing?
Absolutely.
So I've heard this beautiful definition or phrase, and the question was, how do you know you are rich?
Ooh.
And again, I love this paradox, is if you think about the investment side of things, there's a very easy definition. Someone might be tempted to say, is it X number of dollars or millions of dollars or thousands or billions of dollars? But being rich is just living within your means, spending less than you earn. You are rich.
Oh, wow.
From a consciousness perspective, how are you rich? Do I have a consciousness and a mindset of abundance? I have what I need. I'm grateful for what I have.
And how easy are those? We just change our mindset. Easier said than done. I understand that. I completely get it. Therein lies the challenge. But I love your hint to us on how easy it is to get started. And so heads up, everyone, that's where we're going to be starting. As of today, that's going to be my change, certainly, around my relationship with money. And guess what? I'm going to get a second and a third date and maybe a better relationship moving forward with money. But I'm going to ask our listeners to drop us some questions in the comments section for Prasheen, and I'm sure she'll be happy to answer them. So please get cracking with that. The more questions, the better. I know your questions are going to probably be somebody else's questions also, so please share them. And then, Prasheen, our interview, sometime we throw in a surprise question, and I'm going to put you on the spot here, so I'm sorry. But if you had to give one sentence of investment advice to your 18-year-old self, what would that be?
It might take more than 1 second.
Go for it.
A sentence.
Go for it.
You may have heard the phrase, if you want to sit in the shade of the tree, when was the time to plant it? 20 years ago.
20 years ago.
When is the next best time?
Right
now. And what I want to say is start now. No matter how long it's been that you should have, would have, could have, now is the time to start. And worry about being in the market rather than when to enter the market.
Sage advice, Sage. Have we got that one, everybody? Get into the market. It doesn't matter how big or small, in whatever the mechanism of investment, and just get started. I've got a very good friend who's a future guest on this podcast, and he's been teaching me how to run. And he says running 500 meters, that's just half a kilometer, is better than reading 20 books on running. So I guess it's the same thing. Get in the market, get investing. Absolutely brilliantly sage advice. So Prasheen, a heartfelt thank you from all of us here at Conscious Club. Your wisdom, your expertise, and your energy have been such a gift today. I'm certainly leaving with a few powerful gems that I'll carry forward. Bless you, sister. And for our listeners, remember, our mission is to raise consciousness and share it as far and as wide as possible. If this conversation resonated with you, it's not by chance. You've drawn it into your life. Please share this episode with your family and your friends and your community. You'll never know who's ready to hear this message. Leave us your feedback, your suggestions, and your questions. We love hearing from you. Until next time, I'm sending you love, light, and conscious positive energy. Thank you for being here, and we look forward to seeing you in our next session of Consciousness Club. And once again, thank you so much, Prasheen.
Thank you, Dash.
Bless you for being here.